Is it about time for new bunks on your trailer for the boat? Well, this is a video showing you 3 ways. The kind of cheap way, but still pretty good. And then we have the slightly more expensive and more laborsome, but way worth it. Probably the Goldilocks perfect cost to benefit ratio. The one that most people are feasibly and logically going to do, but for the rest of you guys that want to go over to the top, we also have options for you there too. We'll show you all 3 of these options here in this video, and then you can choose which ones you really want. Some will get you there faster, but it's a short game. Some are kind of more laborsome, but a long game, and some are really for the extra long game, but also to kind of show off whatever you got here. So if you're any of these people at all, which you likely are if you're a boater, this video is for you. Hey guys, since this is a trailer video, I think this is an appropriate product to kind of bring into the fold. It's a really good one that I've been really enjoying a lot. In all my ventures with travel trailers, trash trailers, any kind of trailer, boat hitches, locks to gates, I have the biggest time losing keys all the time. At the worst possible times, I lose these keys. But the one key I never forget is my truck keys. They're always with me, and they're the hardest to replicate. You can't really duplicate a lock like that to break it. You can break one of these little cheap master locks. They have master keys for those all day. Thieves have them. But once you put your solid key in there, it is formed only to your key, and they got to cut that lock to break it, or they can't just jimmy the lock off. And because of this, I've switched almost primarily over to bolt for all locks because I can link them all to one key, and it's extremely hard to break into because of that. They're extremely durable, high quality. Check them out. Links in the description. Let's get into the video. You've never seen this trailer before. I should have edited the video footage when I had it. I held on too long for it because I lost it, but essentially I converted a boat trailer into a pontoon trailer, put a square frame around it, and then put the bunk brackets, made all that, and then put extra long bunks to fit a 20-foot pontoon boat on there. If you're wondering what these grooves are in the bunk boards, we will be getting to that later. That is like the final form of what a bunk board can be, and it'll be pretty fun to show you that. But essentially there is 2 types of bunk boards. You can get the wooden bunk boards, the most affordable and logically sound, and then there's these plastic bunk boards that last forever but are a million times more expensive. So naturally we went with the wood. You could choose not to seal and preserve the bunk boards, but then you'll immediately regret it later when you have to replace them in a year. The easiest way to preserve these bunk boards is Rust-Oleum oil-based enamel with paint thinner. Thin the paint because the bunk boards are very dense and the paint needs to be very thin to soak in there and get a penetration of the layer. And then the paint's going to be the best because it won't evaporate. Spar urethane will evaporate. But the ultimate way to preserve any type of wood on any boat is marine epoxy, and that's why these are all glazed over and shiny, because we epoxy coated these bunk boards. Slightly overkill, but I did that because I was putting on these Gatorback bunks. Now, as far as protection and longevity goes, these things are impenetrable. They don't have near the problems carpet will have. They last pretty much a lifetime. They're robust. They're really nice on your hull, but they're really grippy, so your boat's chances of slipping on them is very slim to none. And these are clear because you saw those LED strips we were pushing into that 1/2-inch groove. There's a process for that we'll show you here a little bit later, but essentially we're fast forwarding it slightly so you can see it. This is a pretty nice option. It's actually the best option, but the cost of these, sometimes it just doesn't make financial sense. I guess it's really up to the user, but now that you've seen them and what they can become and how long these will last and just the overall longevity and the process of putting these on, then you can kind of choose. The primary benefit is that plastic bunk material will outlast carpet like 1,000 to 1. But the other cool added benefit is if you do what we did, well, then you can get lights that flash and show off. So if you're a show-off person, well, think about these, because I can't think of anything else that'll draw more attention to the night than these. Okay, so these are resin coated, but really all you need to do if you want to seal the wood is put oil-based enamel on it. You definitely want to thin the first layer because it's pretty tight grain, these 2x4s. You ever see bunks that aren't sealed, that are just straight wood? They start like looking like they collapsed and thinned. It's because they soaked in water, then it evaporated, and they just kind of deflate and crush and implode. You've seen it on wooden transoms, you'll see it on bunks. The only way to stop that is to preserve the wood correctly. So here we resin coated it. This would be the best way. It's also a really hard and expensive way. So I would just paint it. We've done that before. Another thing is, ditch the bunk carpet. Do not use bunk carpet anymore on anything. Instead, use this stuff. This is 20-ounce carpet with a marine grade backing. That's the rubber backing here, so it doesn't just fall apart later. And you can do this a few ways. You can put glue on here and glue it on with like outdoor glue. But really all you gotta do is just put it around like so and staple it. These are Arrowhead staples. You can get literally any staple. This is an electric staple gun. The old Stanley stapler will work really well, but if your hands are kind of old like mine, electric tools are the way to go. Then one in there, other one. Keep constant leverage on it. So this is just that other piece of carpet I cut off. You can just link it all together, butt it up right to each other. Some staples between them, just in case you're worried about the potential pulling. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of carpet. You could get one 10-foot roll from us and do all this massive amounts. You just gotta make sure you pull it straight. Cover for the most part cuts out very easy, and you can form it anywhere. Out of battery.
Yes.
This is a roll of Sparta carpet. This is our 20-ounce marine grade carpet. You can get it in any, it's a minimum of 10 foot that you would be able to get it. So it's 10 foot by a stock length width-wise, and so the minimum order is 10. With 10 foot, you could bunk even the biggest of bunks. You just have to piece it out. Or you can get a whole piece of carpet however long this, if you don't want to cut the carpet and splice it like we did over here at all. And then you could just push it all over the place. And how we're doing it right now, we are just wrapping it and stapling it to the bunk. If you want to glue it with outdoor carpet glue, that would arguably be the best way, because then it would just really stick tight to the bunk. And it would also create a waterproof barrier between the carpet and the bunk board, and that would also be very good as well. So, all right, this is 3.E marine and exterior adhesive. This is the glue specifically recommend for recarpeting your boat if you're going to do it. And it can also be used on here. It kind of looks like Elmer's glue, but you can go ahead and apply it here. Using a paintbrush or a trowel. In this case, I'm thinking a paintbrush might work a little better. You just gotta fold it over. And I'm running pretty thick staples, guys. Running pretty thick staples so it can get through all that thickness. That's all you gotta do for the ends. They don't gotta be pretty, they just gotta be sealed. All right, we're done. That was a Sparta carpet. It came in a 6-foot roll, 20 foot long by 6. And we covered it all these, with the exception of this. This was not Sparta carpet. You can tell how it's a different quality. We also didn't glue this one. You can see all the ripples, and also tell that that carpet is just not as well seated on the bunks as the rest of them that we glued. So that last little section, this is just a throw-on section. If you have good bunks, you don't necessarily need to replace them, and taking them off with the hardware is pretty hard to do. Then you can just straight up put this stuff right over them. The best way to do it obviously is to get brand new bunk boards, pieces, 2x4s, and wrap them before you put them on. We did it with relatively no problem. It was done very quickly. Hey guys, if you stayed this long in the video, thank you so much. Please give us a like and a comment and even a subscribe. It will help us grow and reach other people like you who need to see videos like this. Anyways, moving on to the most expensive, but also probably way worth it option, the plastic bunks. So these are all 20-ounce carpet. That's like the standard for high-end trailers. You'll never see any cheap bunk carpet on them, but you'll also see a lot of these plastic bunk runs. Now they take a lot of damage, a lot better than the carpet. See, that one was all kind of torn up and bent, but the carpet's already tore back here. That person's gonna have to replace those. After seeing how much damage Tri-Tunes actually do to bunks, that got me thinking I do want these plastic bunks on there. But I wasn't gonna use them on the other pontoon boat because it wasn't capable of what I was building now for this one. So we went ahead and took those plastic bunks off, and we're gonna re-put them on this boat. Now, if you already see these bunks, they're extremely worn out and tore back. They're also not preserved. Now, if you want to see what happens when you don't preserve a bunk, it looks like that, like Swiss cheese, high and low spots, spots where it imploded, spots where it stayed, knots everywhere. It's just bad. So we went and got all brand new wood, and we were going to preserve that in this oil-based enamel, which we did thin with paint thinner. We did 2 coats and we let it cure for a day, and then we're ready to sleeve it with the plastic sleeving from Gatorback. Note that half these bunks we're just going to wrap and half the bunks we're going to light up. I think we only need to light up 2 sets of bunks to get the max effect for kind of helping you navigate on the trailer at night, and also the cool looking effect you don't need to light up all 4, although you could. If you're not putting the LEDs in, this process is actually very easy. It's just covering them, putting the end caps on, and moving on. But if you're going to go ahead and try and light these bunks up, you need to route out a 1/2 inch groove about 1/4 inch deep with a router like this. It doesn't have to be the straightest route, just has to be able to fit that LED in. And then when the bunk covers it up and it lights up, yeah, it just looks fine no matter what it is. You can make it a zigzag if you wanted, wouldn't matter. When you get this Gatorback kit, it gives you a lot of really high quality stainless steel screws, and that's what it expects you to kind of install these bunk carpets with, not staples, but like pre-drilling, like pilot holes for all those screws so you don't crack the wood, and then putting them all in individually is a huge pain. Sometimes it's the only way, but because we had the added benefit of doing a stapler there, we stapled all those bunks, and it worked. So next thing is obviously lift this boat. We took 2 engine hoists to lift this big pontoon boat and get these nasty old rotten trailer bunks off. And instead of running the through bolts through the top, that's like the noob way, we're gonna go ahead and run lag bolts underneath, which will have more or less the same effect. The bunks being off is also your last chance to kind of pre-preserve the trailer and stop the rust, if you can. Just go ahead and put a little spray paint on there, and then go ahead and mount these on. We're gonna be drilling a pilot hole with like a 3/16 inch drill bit, and then we'll be putting in, I think they're 1 inch lag bolts. You could get away with 1 1/4 for max grip, if you really wanted to. 1, 2, 3.
You went quick.
I didn't mean to go that quick, but... Alright guys, that's it. Now you know everything there is to know about the weight of the bunk board. Why do we dedicate an entire video to just bunk boards? Well, because where does your boat sit for 90% of its life? On those freaking boards, right? And it can spend 90% of its life being miserable with average wear and tear that you won't see until it's too late, or you can just make sure they're nice and secure all the time. The trailer is one of the most overlooked, underrated things to be on, but I tell you, it's the most important. And if you're following this Multoon video series, you'll very soon see why. All right, guys, see you in the next one.